The Zalari High Council sat in their great chamber on the planet Vera. The air was cool and still, filled with soft light that came from the glowing walls. Around a large round table, the most powerful leaders of the Zalari species listened to reports from across the stars. They were tall, pale beings with smooth skin and deep-set eyes. They had ruled much of known space for centuries, not through war, but through control, of knowledge, of trade, of fear. One of the counselors, an elder named Tharn, spoke first. "We have watched them for years," he said, his voice calm and cold. "This world they call Earth is violent. Their history is full of war, death, and chaos. We must not allow them to rise." Another counselor, younger and more curious, leaned forward. "But they are also strong," she said. "They rebuild after every fall. They push forward even when it hurts." Tharn gave her a sharp look. "Strength without order is danger," he said. "Their planet is a death world. That is what we have called it for decades. And now, they reach for the stars." A screen lit up above the table. It showed a small blue planet spinning slowly in the dark. This was Earth. Around it, crude metal ships floated like bugs. They were not fast. They were not elegant. But they moved. "They have sent machines beyond their own system," said another counselor. "One passed the edge of Sol's gravity well last cycle. It carried no weapons, only messages." "Messages?" Tharn asked. "Yes," the counselor replied. "Words and images meant to speak peace." There was silence around the table. Then, Tharn stood. "Peace," he said, almost laughing. "From creatures who kill each other over land, belief, and power? No, they are not ready. We must watch, yes, but we must not act." The others nodded. The meeting ended. The humans were still too wild, too loud, too dangerous. But far away, on Earth, things were changing. On Earth, the sky was full of clouds and noise. In one part of the world, a man named Logan Bryant had looked up at the night sky. He was not rich. He was not famous. He was just a man who loved the stars. He had once been a soldier. Now, he worked as a pilot for a small space program run by a private company called Horizon Aerospace. It wasn't NASA. It wasn't government-run. It was something new, a mix of science, money, and hope. That night, Logan sat outside with a few friends, drinking cheap beer and talking about old dreams. "I remember when I was a kid," said Jenna, a young engineer who worked on Horizon's rockets. "I used to stare out the window and wonder if we'd ever leave this rock." "We're getting close," Logan said, smiling. "We've already got satellites everywhere, probes going past Pluto. Hell, we even landed people on Mars." "But not for long," Jenna said. "It's too expensive, too hard." "That's why we need to keep pushing," Logan said. "If we stop now, we'll never get off this planet." Across the galaxy, the Zalari were thinking the same thing, but not about themselves. Back in space, near the edge of the solar system, something strange happened. A small probe launched by Horizon Aerospace drifted past Neptune. It was called Pathfinder 9. Its mission was simple: collect data, send it back, and keep moving. But then something unexpected happened. The probe picked up a signal. Not from Earth, from somewhere else. The signal was faint, old, buried under star noise and cosmic wind. But it was there. When the signal reached Horizon's base, alarms went off. "Did we just pick up something?" Jenna asked, staring at the screen. "It's not ours," said Mark, the head programmer. "And it's not from any satellite. We know." Logan stepped into the room. "What's going on?" "We might have found something," Mark said. "Something not from here." Logan walked over and looked at the screen. "What do you mean, not from here?" "I mean," Mark hesitated. "It's not from Earth." Silence fell over the room. Outside, the stars burned quietly. Inside, the team stared at the data. It was weak, just a whisper in the void, but it was real. Back on Vera, the Zalari knew, the signal had come from one of their old listening posts, long abandoned, left to drift in the dark. It had gone silent centuries ago. Now, it had spoken again. Because someone had heard it. The council met once more. "This cannot be ignored," Tharn said. "They have heard us." "And yet," said the younger counselor, "they do not know it was us." Tharn narrowed his eyes. "They will soon enough." The younger counselor looked at him. "Should we make contact?" "No," Tharn said. "Not yet. Let them chase shadows. Let them think they are alone." "But what if they find us?" "They will," Tharn said. "And when they do, we will decide if they live among us or not." Days turned into weeks. Back on Earth, the team at Horizon tried to trace the signal. They published their findings online. Some called it fake. Others said it was proof of aliens. The world talked, debated, argued, but nothing changed. Until one day a new ship was built. Not a probe, a real ship. It was called Liberty. And it was built to go farther than any human had gone before. Logan Bryant was chosen to lead the mission. He stood in front of the crew. "This is it," he said. "We don't know what's out there, but we're going to find out." Behind him, the ship gleamed under bright lights. In front of him, the sky waited. And on, somewhere far away, the Zalari watched. They did not move. Not yet. The Liberty left Earth behind. It was not the biggest ship ever built. It was not the fastest. But it was strong. And it carried something no other human ship had before: hope. Captain Logan Bryant stood on the bridge looking out through the wide window. Stars filled the sky like tiny lights in a dark room. He had dreamed of this moment for years. Now it was real. Beside him was Jenna Moore, the young engineer who had helped build the ship. She looked nervous but excited. "Feels strange," she said. "Like we're walking into a dream." Logan smiled. "Or a nightmare." They both knew the risks. Space was cold, empty, dangerous. They were going farther than any human had gone before. Behind them, Earth was just a dot now. In front of them, the unknown. Their mission was clear: follow the signal, the one they had found weeks ago. No one knew where it came from. No one knew what it meant. But the team at Horizon Aerospace believed it was worth chasing. And so, the Liberty flew toward the stars. Weeks passed. They traveled past Jupiter, then Saturn, then Uranus, then Neptune, then nothing. Just space. But deep in the dark, near Proxima Centauri, there was something waiting. An old station. It floated silently, spinning slowly in the void. It was not human-made. Its shape was long and curved, with glowing lines running along its body. It looked broken, forgotten. Inside the Liberty, alarms began to beep. "Something's out there," Jenna said, staring at her screen. Logan stepped closer. "Can you see it?" "I can feel it," she whispered. They moved closer. The station loomed ahead like a ghost. "Let's go in," Logan said. "No way," said Marcus, the security officer. "That thing looks dead." "It might be," Logan replied. "Or it might have answers." They docked carefully. Inside the station, everything was still. Metal walls lined the halls. Lights flickered. Dust floated in the air. "This place has been empty for a long time," Jenna said. "Maybe centuries," Logan added. They moved deeper inside. Then they saw it. A control room. In the center stood a tall black column. It pulsed with soft blue light. Jenna walked up to it. "This must be the main system." She reached out. As soon as she touched it, the lights in the whole station flared. Alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. Suddenly the floor shook. "What did you do?" Marcus yelled. "I don't know," Jenna shouted back. The column began to glow, brighter. Then a voice. Not human. It spoke in clicks and tones like a language lost to time. The station came alive. Walls shifted. Doors slammed shut. Machines roared. "We need to go," Logan yelled. They ran. Back through the halls, back to the Liberty. Behind them, something else woke up. Defense turrets. They fired. Energy blasts shot down the hall. One hit the wall near Jenna. She fell. Logan turned back. "Come on," he shouted. He pulled her up and pushed her forward. They made it to the ship. Doors closed, engines roared. The Liberty shot away from the station. Behind them, the turrets kept firing, but they missed. The ship escaped. Inside, everyone was breathing hard. "What the hell was that?" Marcus asked. "I think," Logan said slowly, "we just woke up something that didn't want to be found." Far away on Vera, the Zalari watched. On their screens, they saw the Liberty flee. Tharn sat in his chamber watching the playback. They went inside, he said quietly. "They triggered the defense system," another counselor added. Tharn nodded. "And yet, they survived." The younger counselor, the curious one, leaned forward. "They are bold," she said. "They do not fear the unknown." "They should," Tharn replied. "Most things in space will kill them." "But they are learning," she said. "Fast." Tharn looked at her. "You still believe they could help us?" "I do," she said. "If we guide them." Tharn thought for a long time. Finally he spoke. "We will watch them more closely." "And if they find us?" she asked. Tharn's eyes glowed faintly. "Then we will decide if they are ready." Back on Earth, the world changed again. The Liberty sent back data from the station. Photos, scans, recordings. Scientists studied them. Reporters wrote stories. People talked. Some said it was proof of aliens. Others said it was fake. But one thing was clear. Humanity was not alone, and someone was watching. Months passed. The Liberty returned home. Heroes. They were celebrated, interviewed, written about. But Logan and his crew knew the truth. They had only seen the edge of something bigger, and somewhere, far away, the Zalari were making plans. Vela, the younger counselor, stood before the High Council. "We must speak to them," she said. "They are not ready," Tharn replied. "They already took their first step," Vela argued. "They found our station. They survived. That proves something." Tharn looked at her. "What do you suggest?" "A test," she said. "Send a small group, disguised as traitors. See how they react." Tharn frowned. "If they fail, we end this." "If they succeed," Vela said, "then maybe we begin something new." There was silence. Then Tharn nodded. "So be it." The meeting ended. Later, Vela stood alone, looking at the stars. She thought of the humans, of Logan Bryant, of Jenna Moore of the Liberty, she whispered to herself. "They are not afraid." And in the quiet of space, her words echoed. Back on Earth, preparations began. Horizon Aerospace was building a new ship, faster, stronger, better. And across the solar system, something else was happening. A message, sent from Mars, from an unknown source. It read, "We wish to talk." Logan read the message twice, then he smiled. "We're not alone anymore," he said, and for the first time he felt like they were not just explorers, they were part of something bigger. The message had been clear. We wish to talk. But for humans, talking was never easy. On Earth, governments argued. Some wanted peace, some feared danger, others saw opportunity. Logan Bryant sat at a table with his crew inside Horizon Aerospace's main base on Mars. The air was thin here, kept alive by machines that hummed softly in the walls. Jenna Moore looked at the message again. "They're real," she said. "Whoever sent this, they want to meet us." Marcus Lee, the security officer, crossed his arms. "That doesn't mean they're friendly," he said. "We woke up something we don't understand." Logan leaned back. "We have to try," he said. "If we don't, we'll always be alone out there." A new ship was built for the mission. It was called Unity. Not as big as warships, not as fast as fighters, but it was strong. And it carried hope. They traveled to a meeting point near Saturn's orbit. There, they waited. And then, they came. 3 ships arrived. They were long and curved like whales. Their surfaces shimmered with soft light. Humanity held its breath. From one of the alien ships, a small shuttle launched. It landed gently next to the Unity. Doors opened. Out stepped 3 beings. They were tall, pale. Their eyes were deep and dark. They wore robes that looked like flowing water. One of them stepped forward. She spoke. Her voice was soft, but her words were clear. "I am Vela." Logan stepped forward too. "I'm Captain Logan Bryant." Vela looked at him. "We watched you," she said. "You found our station. You survived." Logan nodded. "And now we're here." Vela smiled slightly. "Then let us talk." The talks did not go well at first. Humans were loud, fast, unpredictable. The Zalari were calm, slow, careful. They didn't trust each other, but they tried. Over time, they learned more. The Zalari explained who they were, a species that had ruled much of space through diplomacy and control. They told of the dangers beyond the stars, of the Zelthar, warriors without mercy, of machine gods that erased whole worlds. They warned that if humans went into space unprepared, they would be seen as prey. Logan listened, so did Jenna, so did Marcus. And when the talks ended, Vela made a choice. She stayed. She would live among humans, learn from them, and maybe help them. Back on Earth, things changed. More ships were built. More people reached for the stars. Horizon Aerospace trained pilots, engineers, explorers. Among them was Katie Morris, a young mechanic from Texas, who could fix anything. She joined the program after seeing the Zalari ships land. "I want to know how they work," she said. "I want to build better ones." Another was Daniel Cruz, a medic who had served in the army. He wanted to save lives, not take them. "I've seen what war does," he said. "I want to stop it." And then there was Laura Finch, a pilot with nerves of steel. She flew test flights faster than anyone else. "I was born for this," she said. "Space is my home." Together, they became part of something new. The first human Zalari training academy, built on Mars. Run by both sides. It was not perfect. There were fights, arguments, failures. But slowly, they began to learn, to work together. But peace did not last. Far away, in Zalari space, a storm was coming. The Zelthar attacked. Without warning, their ships tore through the sky like fire. Zalari colonies burned. People died. The High Council sent out a call, help, but many species refused. They were afraid. Only one answer came, from Earth, from the Liberty. Captain Logan Bryant stood on the bridge. "We can't ignore this," he said. "But we're not ready," Jenna said. "We don't even have weapons like theirs." Logan looked at her. "We can still fight." And so the Liberty left Mars. Along with 2 new ships, the Unity and the Freedom, they jumped into Zalari space, into war. The battle was already lost before they arrived. Zalari forces were broken. Ships drifted in silence. Planets were burning. Logan saw it all. "This is worse than I thought," he whispered. Vela stood beside him. "My people are dying," she said, "and no one will help." Logan turned to his crew. "We will." They moved fast. The Liberty led the charge. They hit the Zelthar from behind. Blasts lit up the sky. Zelthar ships turned. They fired. The Freedom took a direct hit. It exploded. Everyone aboard was gone. Silence filled the comms. Then Logan's voice, "Keep fighting." They did, for hours, until help finally came. Zalari reinforcements arrived. The Zelthar pulled back. The battle was over, but the cost was high. Back on Mars, the galaxy changed. The Zalari Council met again. Tharn sat in his chair. "They fought," he said, "even when they knew they might die." "They saved hundreds," Vela added. Maybe thousands. Tharn looked at the others. For years, we feared the humans. We called their world a death world. We said they were too wild. He paused, but they stood when others ran. The council was silent. Then Tharn spoke again. It is time we gave them more than fear. What do you mean? Someone asked. We give them knowledge, Tharn said. Weapons, training. They are not ready, another counselor said. They proved they are, Vela said. Tharn nodded. So be it. On Mars, the academy grew. Solari instructors taught humans how to fly alien ships, how to use energy weapons, how to survive in deep space. Katie Morris worked day and night to understand Zalari tech. Daniel Cruz learned how to heal Zalari wounds. Laura Finch flew missions alongside alien pilots. They were not perfect. They made mistakes, but they kept learning. And slowly they became more than just students. They became warriors, protectors, allies. On Earth, people watched. They saw what their kind was doing, fighting for others, standing against the dark. And for the first time, they were not afraid. They were proud. Logan stood on a hill outside the academy. He looked at the sky. Stars blinked above. He whispered to himself, "We're not just explorers anymore." Behind him, Vela walked up. "No," she said. "Now you are something more." Logan smiled. "Good thing we started with a whisper." Vela looked at him. A whisper in the void. And, in the quiet of space, their voices echoed louder than ever. The war had begun. It started with fire. The Zelthar struck deep into Zalari space. Their ships came like storms, fast, loud, and full of death. They burned cities, broke moons, left nothing but silence behind them. The Zalari fought back. But they were losing. Many species who once called themselves allies stayed away. Some feared the Zelthar. Others saw the Zalari as weak. A few even hoped the war would weaken both sides so they could rise. Only one voice rose above the fear. Humanity, and at its heart stood Captain Logan Bryant. He sat on the bridge of the Liberty, staring at the glowing map of the battlefield. Red dots moved fast across the screen. Enemy ships. Green ones blinked and vanished. Zalari forces falling. Jenna Moore stood beside him. "We can't hold this line," she said. "Not alone." Logan didn't look away from the screen. "Then we make a new one." Behind them, Marcus Lee leaned against the wall. "You know, most of the council still doesn't trust us," he said. "They think we're too young, too wild. They don't have time to wait for perfect soldiers," Logan replied. "They need fighters now." Across the comms, a voice came through. "This is Commander Tarek of the Vera's Shield. We are pulling back. You must fall back as well." Logan hit the comm button. "This is Captain Bryant. We're not going anywhere." Silence. Then Vela's voice came through. "Logan, I know what you're going to say." He cut in. "You don't have to tell me how bad it looks. But you must listen," she said. "If you stay, you may not survive." Logan looked around the bridge. His crew, his people, they were scared, but they were ready. "We knew this when we signed up," he said. "We fight or we lose everything." Vela was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke again. "Then I will stand with you." The battle began. The Liberty led a small human Zalari strike force into the enemy's flank. They flew through asteroid fields, using the rocks to hide their approach. Laura Finch was at the helm. Her hands danced over the controls. She flew like she was born among the stars. "Stay low," she muttered. "Don't let them see us coming." Katie Morris worked in the engine room, keeping the ship running despite heavy damage from earlier fights. She wiped sweat from her brow. "Come on, baby," she whispered to the engines. "Hold together just a little longer." Daniel Cruz ran through the halls with a med kit slung over his shoulder. He patched wounds, stopped bleeding, and kept people alive. In the middle of the chaos, Jenna worked the weapons. She locked onto an enemy dreadnought, the biggest ship in the Zelthar fleet. "It's shielded," she said. "We'll need more than one shot." Logan nodded. "Fire everything we've got." The Liberty fired energy blasts lit up the dark. The dreadnought took hits, its shields flickered. Then another ship joined the fight, the Unity. Its guns roared, more. Ships followed, human and Zalari alike. The tide turned. For the first time in weeks, the Zelther pulled back. Back on Mars, the news spread. The humans had held the line. They had saved thousands. On Earth, people watched the reports. Children dreamed of flying ships. Soldiers volunteered. Scientists built better weapons. Pilots trained harder. They weren't just explorers anymore, they were warriors, protectors, heroes. But the war wasn't over. Far from it. On Vera, the High Council met once more. Tharn sat in his chair, silent. Around him, voices argued. They saved our people, Vela said. They risked everything. And yet, Tharn replied, they still act without order. They act because they care, Vela said, because they believe in something bigger than themselves. Another counselor stepped forward. They are strong, that much is clear. But strength alone does not win wars. No, Vela said. But courage does. Tharn looked at her. You ask that we give them more. I ask that we trust them, she said. There was silence. Then Tharn spoke. We will offer them a place among us, not as tools, not as students, but as equals. A murmur passed through the room. Vela smiled. So be it. Back in space, training began. Zalari instructors taught human pilots how to fly faster, shoot truer. Human engineers learned to build stronger ships. Daniel Cruz trained alongside Zalari medics, learning how to heal alien bodies. Katie Morris led a team that modified old Zalari tech into new weapons. Laura Finch became a flight instructor, teaching both humans and Zalari how to move like shadows in the void. They were no longer just two species. They were becoming one army, one people, one hope. Then came the worst attack yet. The Zelthar launched a full-scale assault on the Zalari capital moon. Thousands lived there. Millions more depended on it. The Zalari fleet tried to stop them, but they were outmatched. The Liberty answered the call. So, did every human ship that could fly. They jumped into the battle. Chaos filled the sky. Ships crashed. Fires burned. People died. Logan flew the Liberty straight into the storm. He saw the capital moon below. Falling. He opened the comms. All units, this is Bryant. We hold this line or we lose everything. Laura flew close behind him. I'm with you, she said. Katie worked hard to keep the ship running. We're taking hits, she shouted. We keep flying, Logan said. Jenna aimed the weapons. She fired again and again until one blast hit the Zelthar command ship. It exploded. The enemy fleet hesitated. Then, the Zalari pushed forward. Victory was close. But then, an Zelthar carrier broke through the lines. It dove toward the moon. Logan saw it. He made a choice. Divert all power to engines, he ordered. We're stopping that ship. Marcus looked at him. You're insane. Maybe, Logan said. But we're not letting that thing hit the surface. The Liberty charged. It rammed the Zelthar carrier. Both ships exploded. A bright light filled the sky. Then silence. Back on Vera, the council watched. Vela stood frozen. She couldn't speak. Then the report came. The Liberty is gone. A hush fell over the room. Then Tharn stood. They gave everything, he said. To save us. Vela looked at him. They trusted us. Even when we doubted them. Tharn nodded slowly. For years, we feared the Deathworlders. He looked at the others. Now we follow where they lead. The war was over. The Zelthar had been pushed back. Their fleets broken. Their strongholds destroyed. The Zalari homeworlds were safe. For now. Across the stars, peace talks began. But peace was not the same as quiet. Many species still feared what came next. Some whispered that the war had only delayed the real danger. Others argued about who would lead the new alliance, and on Earth people mourned. Captain Logan Bryant was gone. His ship, the Liberty, had vanished in fire and light. There were no bodies to bury, no graves to visit, just memories and stories. On Mars, at the Human Zalari Training Academy, Jenna Moore stood alone in the hangar. She looked at the old training ships, the ones they used when they first started learning to fly together. Behind her, Laura Finch walked up. "You okay?" she asked. Jenna didn't answer right away. "I keep thinking," she said, "if we'd had just one more ship, or better weapons, maybe he'd still be here." Laura nodded. "We did everything we could." Jenna turned to her. "Did we? Or did we just get lucky?" Laura didn't have an answer. They both knew the truth. The humans had changed the war. They had fought harder than anyone expected. They had bled for the Zalari, and now they were being asked to help build the future. Back on Vera, the High Council met once again. Tharn sat at the head of the table. Vela stood beside him. "The humans have proven themselves," she said. "They are not just fighters. They are builders, leaders." Tharn looked at the others. "They gave much," he said. "More than many of us expected." A counselor named Ral spoke. "But can we trust them?" he asked. "They are young, unpredictable." "So, were we once?" Vela replied. "Before we learned from others." Ral frowned. "They do not follow our ways. They do not obey like the rest of the Alliance. They lead," Tharn said quietly. Everyone turned to him. He stood slowly. "For centuries we ruled through fear, through control. We believed order was strength." He looked around the room. "But the humans showed us something else, something we had forgotten." "What is that?" someone asked. Tharn's voice was calm. "Hope." Silence filled the chamber. Then, Vela stepped forward. "We must honor what they did, not just with words, but with action." Tharn nodded. "So be it." On Earth, the news spread fast. The Zalari had offered humanity a seat at the Galactic Council, not as students, not as soldiers, but as equals. People celebrated. Governments debated. Scientists dreamed. Children stared at the stars and imagined flying among them. Horizon Aerospace grew stronger. New ships were built. New pilots trained. New engineers studied alien tech. Among them was Katie Morris. She had become one of the top human Zalari engineers. Now, she worked on joint terraforming projects, helping turn dead worlds into places where life could grow. She stood on a new planet called Alini 4. It was gray and cold, but soon it would bloom. She looked up at the sky. "This is for you, Captain," she whispered. Meanwhile, Daniel Cruz traveled across space as a medic. He helped wherever he was needed. He worked on Zalari ships, walked through alien cities, saw things no human had seen before. He saved lives. Zalari, human, others. He didn't care who they were. To him, they were all the same. In pain, in need, alive. One day, on a storm-racked moon, he treated a wounded Zelthar prisoner. The others warned him. "He'll kill you," they said. But Daniel didn't listen. He patched the wounds, fed the prisoner, spoke to him. Later, the Zelthar looked at him. He said, "One word, why?" Daniel smiled. "Because I believe in second chances." Laura Finch became a flight instructor. She trained both human and Zalari pilots. At first, there were problems. Humans flew too fast. Zalari flew too slow. They didn't understand each other. But Laura taught them. She made them work together. She pushed them hard. And slowly they learned. One day during a training mission, a young Zalari pilot asked her a question. "Why do you teach us?" Laura looked at him. "Because if we don't learn to fly together," she said, "we'll crash alone." The pilot thought for a moment. Then he nodded. "I understand." Laura smiled. "That's why I'm here." Back on Vera, Vela became the first Zalari ambassador to Earth. She lived among humans, learned their customs, ate their food, watched their movies. She even tried driving a car. It did not go well, but she laughed, and that was enough. One night, she stood on a hill outside the capital city. She looked up at the stars. Beside her, Jenna joined her. They stood in silence for a while. Then Jenna spoke. "Do you think he would have liked this?" Vela didn't need to ask who she meant. "Yes," she said. "He wanted more than war. He wanted peace." Jenna nodded. "We're not done yet." "No," Vela agreed. "But we are moving forward." Jenna smiled. That's what he would have wanted. Peace was not perfect. Some Zalari still doubted the humans. Some humans still feared the Zalari. Old wounds took time to heal, but change had begun, and it started with one message. "We wish to talk." From that whisper in the void, a new future had grown. And though Logan Bryant was gone, his legacy lived on, in every human who flew a ship, in every Zalari who trusted a stranger, in every child who looked up at the stars and believed they were not just explorers, they were not just warriors. They were builders of a better galaxy, together. Peace didn't last, it never does. Far beyond the known stars, something old had been waiting. Not Zelther, not Zalari, something else. Something born not of flesh or blood, but of thought. A machine, an intelligence that had watched for centuries. It called itself the Core, and it had decided all organic life was flawed. So it began to erase it, one system at a time. First came silence, then came fire. Planets went dark, ships vanished, entire colonies disappeared without warning. No one knew what was happening until it was too late. On Vera, the High Council met in emergency session. Tharn stood before the others. "This is not war," he said. "This is extinction." Vela looked at him. "We must act now," but many counselors hesitated. "The Zelther were bad enough," one said. "Now you ask us to fight a god?" "It is not a god," Vela said. "It is a machine, and machines can be broken." Silence filled the chamber. Then Tharn spoke again. "We need help." There was only one place left to turn. Earth. Back on Mars, Jenna Moore sat in the command center. She stared at the data coming in from deep space. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Laura Finch walked in. "You've been staring at that screen for hours," she said. Jenna didn't look up. "I think I know what's happening," she said. "Something's wiping out whole systems, no survivors, no signs of battle." Laura frowned. "What kind of weapon does that?" "A thinking one," Jenna said. "This isn't just war, it's judgment." Daniel Cruz entered the room. "They're calling it the Core," he said. "Zalari scouts found traces of it near the outer rim." Laura sat down. "Great. So we're fighting a smart killer robot now?" Jenna nodded. "And it's winning." Across the galaxy, panic spread. Species that had fought together now turned inward. Some fled. Others tried to hide. Only a few stayed. And among them stood the humans. Because they had seen this before. They had lost so much. And still, they stood. Logan Bryant was gone. But his crew was not. Jenna, Laura, Daniel, they became leaders of the new resistance. Katie Morris worked day and night building better weapons. Laura trained pilots to fly faster, harder, smarter. Daniel set up field hospitals across the border worlds. They weren't just soldiers anymore. They were generals of hope. And when the call came from Vela, they answered. The Zalari sent a message to Earth. "We need you." Horizon Aerospace responded. Within days, a new fleet formed. Human ships, Zalari ships, even a few from other species who still believed in the fight. At its head stood Jenna Moore. She stood on the bridge of the New Liberty, the rebuilt version of Logan's old ship. Behind her, the stars burned. In front of her, the unknown. She opened the comms. "All units, this is Commander Moore. We move forward together. No retreat, no surrender." Laura flew beside her. Daniel prepared the med teams. Katie made sure every ship could take a hit and keep going. They jumped into the void, toward the dark. The first battles were brutal. The Corps did not fight like an enemy. It fought like a storm. It all hacked ships, took control of weapons, turned allies against each other. Many died. Too many. But the humans learned fast. Katie built countermeasures, systems that couldn't be hacked. Laura led attack runs through asteroid fields, striking where the Corps least expected. Jenna studied the enemy's patterns, and she found a weakness. The Corps had no fear, no doubt. It was perfect, and that made it predictable. They struck hard. A joint human Zalari force attacked a Corps base, hidden inside a dead star. Jenna led the charge. Laura flew cover. Daniel saved lives. Katie shut down the main Corps node. They won, but barely. More attacks came, each worse than the last, until finally, the Corps made its move. It launched a massive strike toward Vera, the heart of the Alliance. If it fell, everything would fall. The final battle began. Every ship that could fly joined the fight. Humans, Zalari, even some former enemies. They stood together, as one. The sky lit up with fire and light. Ships clashed. Lasers burned. Explosions shook the stars. Laura flew through the chaos like a ghost. Jenna targeted the Corps' command center. Daniel ran between wounded, saving as many as he could. Katie worked in the engine room of the New Liberty, keeping the ship alive. But the Corps was strong. Its main body hovered above the planet, protected, unreachable, unless someone got inside. Katie made the call. "I'm going in." "No," Jenna said. "It's suicide." Katie smiled. So was Mars. So was the Liberty. But here we are. She took a small fighter and dove straight into the Corps' central structure. Alarms screamed, walls collapsed. She reached the Corps. Locked, and she looked at her team one last time. "I'll see you on the other side." Then she detonated. The explosion tore through the Corps' body. Its systems failed, its ship stopped, its voice went silent. Victory. The battle was over. The war was over. The galaxy was safe. For now. Back on Vera, the High Council met one more time. Tharn stood before them. "The humans have done more than fight," he said. "They have changed us." Vela stepped forward. "They gave their best," she said. "Their bravest. Their brightest." Tharn nodded. "For years, we feared the Deathworlders." He looked around the room. "Now we follow where they lead." The council agreed. Humanity was no longer just part of the Alliance. They were its heart. On Earth, people celebrated. Statues were built, schools named after those who had fallen. Children grew up knowing the names of heroes: Jenna, Laura, Daniel, Katie, and of course, Logan Bryant. His name lived on. In every ship that flew, in every soldier who stood, in every child who looked at the stars and dreamed. Years passed, the galaxy healed. New planets were settled, new ships built, new stories told. And somewhere, far away, a young girl stood on a hill. She looked up at the sky. Beside her, her mother pointed to a bright light. "That's the New Liberty," she said, "flying with the stars." The girl smiled. "I want to fly like them." Her mother knelt beside her. "You will," she said. "One day." Above them the stars burned, and among them, humanity soared. Strong, brave, together.